Today we've got your full in-depth comparison between the Tamron 70 to 180 f2.8 and of course your 70 to 200 f2.8 G Master. As usual, we'll be breaking down and comparing these two lenses in detail to help you decide which one you should buy. Let's get started. Welcome back, friends, and we've got your showdown between the Tamron 70 to 180 and of course the 70 to 200 G Master. We're going to be looking at size, build, performance, and value in this video, everything that you need to know to make your choice between these two. Here's some specs to get you going. My name's Stefan Malloch. If you haven't seen one of my videos and you do enjoy and like this type of content, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Anyways, let's dive right into the size category. So at first glance, you can see that the Tamron wins the size category, being the lightest and the most compact f2.8 in its class. However, of the two, it's the only one that does extend as it zooms. With the lens hood installed, the G Master measures 11 inches long, where the Tamron's just 7 5/8 inches long. Reach out to 180 millimeters, and the Tamron becomes just shy of 9 inches long. Remove the lens hood on both, and when traveling, the G Master is just under 8 inches long, and the Tamron only 2 inches less. The Tamron also weighs significantly less, and this is mainly due to the overall construction, which is plastic compared to the G Master's metal, as well as lots of features like image stabilization, and the rest of the bells and whistles not included. If size and weight and overall portability is the most important thing to you, then Tamron easily wins this category. Next, we'll have a look at the build and features between these two. Now, of course, being a much more expensive lens, you can expect the G Master to pretty much dominate this category, and it does. A quick unboxing gives you the bare bones basics with your Tamron. You get some paperwork, a lens, and a lens hood. With the G Master, a nice soft travel case is included as well. The overall build quality of the G Master is obviously a lot better. It is a metal construction, as I mentioned earlier. It definitely feels more substantial. As far as any buttons or switches are concerned, the Tamron only has a single zoom lock switch, where the G Master has 3 customizable focus hold buttons, an automatic manual focus switch, a zoom limiting switch, of course image stabilization, and a mode 1 and 2 switch, which is going to be great for panning. There's also an easily adjustable and removable tripod collar, which is going to be great in a multitude of situations when you want to throw it on the tripod or just get it out of the way. On the front of both of the lenses, you'll find 67mm filter threads on the Tamron and 77 on the G Master. Both have their own patented coating to help with ghosting and flare. On the back of each, you'll find a nice metal mount, and both have little rubber gaskets included for some confidence when it comes to weather sealing. So all in all, when it comes to build and features, the Tamron is a mid-range lens that's budget friendly. The quality and durability is just not quite there for me, where the G Master of course is a much more expensive and higher end lens with a lot more features. Once again, it's no surprise that it takes this category. Now let's have a look at how these two perform, and this is where things get interesting. Let's look at autofocus, starting with the Tamron. Utilizing Tamron's new linear focus motors, the autofocus speed of this lens is incredible. It's lightning fast and does prioritize speed over accuracy, I find. In good light, you're not going to have a problem, but in backlit situations or less than perfect conditions, you might find it struggling and hunting just a bit. In decent light, where you're probably going to be shooting most of the time, you're not going to have any issues. When we look at the G Master's autofocus, it's very fast, very accurate. It's not the fastest out there, and it does prioritize accuracy over speed, which is fine by me so you don't get a lot of nasty hunting. But I've used this lens in every situation, good and bad light, it works great. For you video shooters, I found that this lens worked just as well in video as it does for stills. The versatile focal range and the fast f2.8 make it great for events, even indoors. Even the lens hood is beautiful and designed for work with video. It has a little trapdoor to easily access all your filters. And here they are side by side in action. The Tamron definitely has the edge in speed, but does struggle a little bit in backlit and low light conditions, where the G Master is all around not as fast, but definitely more accurate. Note that the Tamron, being a newer lens, most likely can and will receive a firmware update improving performance in the future. Now let's have a look at a few comparisons side by sides, the differences in bokeh quality, as well as some sharpness, and these tests that I did are actually quite surprising. On the left we have our Tamron, and on the right we have our G Master. And as you can see here at f2.8, these are both all the way zoomed in at 180 on the Tamron and 200 on the G Master. The quality of bokeh is very close, but I have to give it to the G Master, and that's pretty much in every situation. It just has a creaminess and the transitions are just a lot nicer, and that's fair because it does have 11 aperture blades, and you're going to get a little bit more bokeh typically when you're using a nice wide open lens at a longer focal length as well. I did notice in this particular case though that it looks like the G Master is back focusing just a little bit, where the Tamron is bang on with the sharpness, so there's that to note. And here we have another test, the exact same situation, but just stopped down both to f6.3. You can see that, yeah, definitely now the edge does go to the G Master 100%, and that's probably just because of the additional aperture blades. It's just the mechanics and the science of it all, but again, the Tamron being half the price does keep up extraordinarily well. And here's a sharpness comparison between the two. This is wide open at f2.8, the G Master on the right and the Tamron on the left. I did try to match the focal length for this test, and the G Master is at 173 millimeters. It is a bit interesting. You can definitely see some more distortion in the Tamron, but if we zoom in here and have a look at the sharpness, it's a bit interesting because even at 173 millimeters, it's actually even got a little bit more zoom. So one of these lenses is actually lying in their focal length. Interesting. So as you can see, they're both very, very close. We're pretty much splitting hairs here. I'd have to say wide open. I might give it just a hair to the Tamron here. It looks a little bit more contrasty. I do find that the Tamron definitely has a little bit more color fringing on the edges, but it's very, very close. So this time we've stopped down to f6.3 to have another look at the sharpness, and you can definitely see that the color coming through on the Tamron is just a little bit punchier. I'd say a little bit, definitely a bit cooler on the Tamron all around, and the Sony's definitely a little bit warmer in general. So having a quick look here at the sharpness in pretty much the center is going to be, again, very, 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 very close. It's at this point probably too close to call. You'd really have to get in there and pixel peep, but it might be even still a couple percentage just to the Tamron, which, you know, does make sense considering it does have less glass and whatnot, but it is surprising given the cost of this lens. It's just a great performer. Now when we get up into the corners, however, this is a little bit surprising. In the corners, it is a no contest. The Tamron is definitely sharper in the corners here compared to the G Master, and just a great performance optically to the Tamron, so do note that. But both of these lenses are great performers optically, and again, for the price, the Tamron, just fantastic. And another area that the Tamron wins in is its minimum focus distance. They've done a great job lately at giving us some really unique features. Using your autofocus, your minimum focus distance is 33.5 inches throughout the entire focal range. Switch to manual, however, to get down to 10.6 inches on the wide end with 1:2 magnification ratio capabilities to get macro-like shots. But do note that it only works on the wide end. Zooming in will bring your minimum focus distance back out to 33.5 inches. I'm really liking the near macro capabilities that Tamron's giving us with a lot of their lenses lately. I'd say the Tamron's definitely the sharper of the two lenses, but it does lack some character that the G Master has. Here's a few examples of both for you to be the judge. The more lenses I test and use, the more I realize that it's more than just about optics or the speed or aperture of a lens. It's the whole package. It's how it's put together. It's how it feels and it's balanced. It's the colors and the transitions. It's not all about sharpness. For half the price, it's incredible that the Tamron actually outdoes the G Master in quite a few things, including sharpness in a lot of cases. But there are a few areas where it does fall short, including the lack of image stabilization. Here's an example of what you can expect in terms of stability. 180mm isn't crazy, but it's still far enough out there where you're going to have some trouble hand holding. In this case, I'm using my in-body image stabilization with my A7 III, but if you don't have it, this is what you can expect. For me, this is one of the biggest downsides of this lens, and I think it's expected at this price range and definitely at this focal range. Having IBIS is definitely going to help your experience, but overall, having IBIS as well as built-in image stabilization in your lens does make quite a big difference. And here's a comparison of what this looks like in terms of stills, and using the IBIS in my A7 III, you can see that it does make quite a dramatic difference when it comes to lower shutter speeds. Here it is at 1/50th of a second. And here's a few more examples. If you do have IBIS, you're going to be able to get away with it just fine, but having a lens like the G Master with built-in image stabilization is going to make it that much better. Here's an example of the G Master image stabilization at work. It's a very noticeable difference, especially when you're panning. When it comes to performance, both of these lenses are great performers, and to keep this video reasonable, I wanted to include only what I thought was completely necessary for you. For more information on either lens, check out my full in-depth review on both. Next, let's talk quickly about value. The Tamron, coming in at about $1,200 US, or exactly half of the G Master, has absolutely incredible value. As you've seen, it's a great performing, decently built, absolutely capable lens, which also happens to have a 6-year warranty, extendable to 10 when you register online in some countries, compared to the Sony's 1. So there's definitely a heck of a lot of value there. The G Master, being Sony's top line, is an incredible lens in a perfect package with everything you could ever want, but if I'm being honest, it is probably due for a refresh. Having said that, if you were to find it on sale or used, it's an absolute great pickup, and as for the Tamron, yeah, you definitely can't go wrong. At this point, when it comes to value between the two, the Tamron's gonna take it. So wrapping up, guys, let me know which one you're leaning towards down in the comments. Are you on a budget counting every penny and looking for the best value possible? Easy, grab the Tamron. Are you looking for the package that has it all? The character, the build quality, the weather sealing, the durability? Well, consider the Sony. As usual, here's my pros and cons for both of these lenses. And if this video wasn't detailed enough for you, make sure you check out my full in-depth review on either. So there you go, guys. There's my review on these two guys, the G Master versus the Tamron. Which one do you like better? Let me know down in the comments. If you liked this video and it helped you out, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Drop every question and comment that I might have missed down below. And if you're ready to pick either of these lenses up, make sure you check out the affiliate links down there as well. Like always, make mistakes, be yourself, and get out there and take some more pictures. See you next time.